Well, you're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes with Brad Borders and John Gallina, and this is something new and different today.
It is an 80s hairband intro. I love it, man.
You know, I knew that we had been fired for Tuesdays, but now we're here on our second Thursday, and now apparently we have new intro music.
Get some spandex pants, and off we go, man.
Well, the only thing that won't work is big hair for Devin.
Or me.
I guess maybe we could get one of those wigs to put on Devin. And
that is messed up.
Big hair Thursday.
Come on.
We have.
I've actually got some wigs. I've got wigs.
Oh, gosh.
I could put you in a wig today.
Today,
Yeah, half price for you.
For charity.
Yeah, for charity.
You get like a.
We're gonna send you. We'll send you. I got a free subscription to Hair Club for Men for you, there, Big Daddy.
Oh gosh.
a free subscription for Hair Club to Men.
It's called a wig.
Yeah, I think I'll pass. I appreciate it.
Right.
I can tell there's love in it, though.
There, lots of love, only love. So
we've seen a lot of love today.
we have. It's been a heavy day, man, and so for those that are listening here locally to Statesville and Iredell County, a couple years ago we do this cycling event called Take That Hill, and we met a veteran the first year we did it named Bill Rocap, who was living on top of Barrett Mountain over in Alexander County in basically a tool shed. And over the course of a couple of months, we developed a plan to help him to get into a permanent dwelling that was suitable for somebody who served our country. And well, we got him a tiny home, and for the last
not just a tiny home, a home that he called his purple home.
Yeah, he called it his purple home, and he's been living in a warm, safe, dry place for the last year and a half.
Been surrounded by a lot of loving family and friends and neighbors. People going up and visiting him about every week.
Yeah, and so one of the things that Bill did that was kind of his mission in life is Bill made these little white crosses, and if you drive through Alexander County or Iredell County, pretty much anywhere around here, if you start looking around, you're going to see these little white crosses on people's mailboxes and in their flower beds and, all kinds of things. And so Bill, that was his mission, man. He even approached us. He said, he knew we worked with Home Depot, and, he was like, what if we could put these crosses at every Home Depot store in America, right? He was he thought strategically, man. I mean, he was quite the character, and unfortunately, about 6 months ago, he was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and so his health declined over the last few weeks, and was underneath hospice care, and actually made it back to his home from the hospital, where he had his friend Michael from church that was caring for him. Hospice was looking after him.
I wouldn't necessarily say it as he made his way back home. He demanded.
He did. He demanded
that he go to his purple home to spend out his days.
He did not want to spend the last days of his life and in the hospital. And so about a week and a half ago, he came home. We planned a little day to go up with some of our employees and some local volunteers, some of the guys from F3 here in Statesville, and to do a work day and to build crosses for Bill, in honor of Bill, and
something that he asked for every time that we spoke with him.
Yeah, he wanted us to build crosses in our shop, and we were like, hey man, we got tiny homes to build, And but anyhow, John, thank you for taking initiative on driving that train. And so we had about 20 people up there today, and I went, before everybody got there, I went into Bill's bedroom, and he's, obviously he had labored breathing, and I prayed for him for about 10 minutes, and his buddy Michael told me that this morning he told Bill that everybody from Purple Heart Homes is coming to build crosses on your property here. They're doing it here, and he said that he hasn't really been responsive the last couple of days. But when he told him that he looked up and had a reaction to that, and I guess probably 100 crosses in after we had built 100 in. I walked back over to his house to go check on him, and he had just taken his last breath. So he passed away while we were there building those crosses, and it was a very profound moment. For me, it was very sobering, and to think that he left this world when we were there doing his mission, and I told all of our people that came up there with us is that everybody has a mission in life. Everybody needs a mission. We need that, and that was Bill's mission. And I think it was just a signal to him that hey, I can go home now. And it was a pretty profound moment, and glad to be a part of it. And it was all the emotions I had, sad and grief and tears and all that. We're gonna really miss Bill, but what a blessing that this community dug deep and made the last year and a half of his life really good years, because he loved that little house that he was living in.
Sure did. And let me just tell you, we've got a special guest today. We've got First Sergeant Andy Sapala, now officially retired First Sergeant Andy Sapala, and he knows all about a mission himself. And I've known Andy now for, I guess, somewhere around 24, 25 years.
I'm sorry about that, Andy.
Yeah, you know what? But what I can say is I invested into his career, because he has had a career as a military professional HR specialist. And I taught him all the things not to do early in his career, so that he could later go on to coach all those soldiers and all those leaders on how to be proficient and not ruin your career.
It's like, oh, look at me, John. I learned from my mistakes.
He's probably got to read over his paperwork and go, oh, that's
now,
how that's
the
done.
one thing that Andy can say that we learned to do together, and that was to collect all the unit guidons together in front of Charlie Battery, so everybody knew who was the best.
Stolen guidons, I'm assuming.
We didn't with Army relocation planners. No such thing as
reallocation
stealing
of resources.
No stealing in the military.
Got it. Yeah,
But I'm really excited to have Andy on the show, and so welcome, Andy. I know we're getting ready to take our first break, and we're slowly getting into this new rhythm for the new show schedule. But really excited to have you on, and we'll dig into your background and your career as we return back from the break, and just hear about some of the challenges that you've witnessed in soldiers that you have led as they've transitioned out, and now things that you're contemplating and facing as you're transitioning yourself as well. But
it's really cool. Yeah, good to have you
your
here.
service.
Hey, before we go to break, I want to let everybody know that Rocky Lynn has got a documentary coming out. And those
That's
of you know,
right.
Rocky Lynn's a recording artist here in Statesville and been all over America. And then just not 10 minutes ago, I was in his studio, and we got a couple of albums here, vinyl, no doubt. But I met, he had Danny Carr in his studio, who has been on America's Got Talent and has now made it to the semifinals. She's going back out and going to impress Simon Cowell again in August. And man, she's just a delightful human being. And I just listened to her brand new song, and it's called I Just Want to Be Better.
I'll tell you, I'm very excited. I'm definitely
gosh,
watching with anticipation to see how far she goes, to think of the talent that we have right here in our community.
Man.
And so you're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. We're going to be right back after this short break to hear from retired First Sergeant Andy Sapala and the work that he's going to be doing and the challenges that he can tell us about in reintegration. Stand by.
Got your number. So place your bet. You're going under.
The
Christmas in July is coming to downtown Mooresville. register in person. For the full schedule, visit Kane R.
Let's turn the mics on because that's where all the shenanigans happen.
There are no shenanigans behind the scenes because the scenes and the curtains have not closed.
That's right.
There's no
Pay no
behind the
attention to
scenes.
what's behind the curtain,
Yeah.
where we make the sausage.
But
do you make?
we are going through some transition for our listening audience that's out there on social media world. So we'll get some better content for you plugged in as we move into next week's show.
Some better content.
Some content period.
Some
How's that?
content period. Well, wait,
Yeah.
this
For the
is
in-between
content
part.
right now. This is
This is
content.
content?
Anytime you're talking about something at all, have you ever seen the TED Talk about the talk about nothing?
Oh yeah.
No, I haven't seen
It
that
is
particular
absolute
TED Talk.
genius. The guy gets up there for 10 minutes and he does an entire TED Talk
About nothing.
nothing.
Have
Right.
you seen the TED Talk about the procrastination monster?
No,
That's
I
my
think
that's
I
my
have-
favorite.
I think I have seen that
Don't
one.
put it off. You ought to really
Yeah,
watch
that's right.
that one.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I see what you
You know,
did there.
maybe it's time for a dad joke for our
No
Facebook
dad
audience.
jokes.
Oh, I've got some good ones. I've got new.
I'm
good
sure
ones.
Andy's got a dad joke. But we only got 30 seconds left before we go back from break.
Well, here we go. I thought I won the argument with my wife about how to arrange the dining room furniture, but when I got home, the tables were turned. Ooh. See, I got a groan. See, that's how you tell the
That was that
value of a
dead
dad
that the
joke.
bell didn't
If
even
you get it,
ring.
yeah.
Oh my
awesome.
gosh.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, we're up to 8 listeners, and 3 of them are us.
Oh no. That's
Right. Yeah, it's fantastic. And Scott Burns.
and
is
Scott
listening.
Burns. Hey, Scott Burns.
Been around 50 years, must be doing something right.
I think Facebook just doesn't know how to count. We've never had more than 8 at a time, but we get
We had
hundreds.
21 one time.
That was when Sandy was on.
It was.
Part of the conversation.
We can't even trust the banks with our money.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
All right, we are back live with you at the WSIC News Studios, and we are here with retired First Sergeant Andy Sapala. And Andy, an artilleryman turned
I'm sorry.
HR specialist and all-around great guy and great American. Andy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brad. Well, John and Brad and Devin too. How are y'all doing today?
Doing great, brother.
Well, me and Brad are doing great. I don't know about Devin.
You know, I was doing just fine until I got here. I mean, and y'all made fun of my hair, or lack theretheof.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
my feelings were a little hurt.
Well, I thought your feelings were hurt because we wouldn't let you bring the bourbon in.
Is that an FCC violation?
Well, I mean, I did want to bring the bourbon in, have a future. It was in honor of Sapala. We all call I call Sapala the bourbon fairy because he's got an epic stash of bourbon.
That he carries around in his trunk.
He does. He does.
Just for the record, for any police officers listening, they are
Not in his-
all sealed containers. None are unopened.
not in his hand.
Not in his
Not in
hand.
his hand.
Yeah. So, Andy, tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you into the military? What made you join the military?
So I joined the military in 1995. I joined the 1st to 113th Field Artillery for you, Brad.
You're welcome.
Which is within the 30th Brigade. Yeah. So what ended up happening was one of my buddies that I worked with in high school, he joined Charlie Battery, and he came into Super Kmart. So that was way back in the day in 95. And he told me he joined the Guard. So, I was like, hey, I'm interested. And I ended up joining and became Field Artillery back in 1995. We went in the buddy program, and we served together until he got out to go active duty.
Awesome.
So I did from 1995 to 2010. No, I'm sorry, 2009. No, 2010 with the 1st to 113th. Then I jumped around a little bit to the 120th. And then the 30th BSTB, which was out of Durham, and then eventually settling at Joint Force Headquarters pretty much from 2010 until 2023. I just retired 30 June.
And
So, I met. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, and during that time, how many deployments did you have?
I had one in 2004, one in 2009, 2010, and then one in 2019-20 during COVID.
Wow.
Was that Iraq 2009-10?
Yeah, so I was in Iraq 2004, and then Iraq back in 2009, 2010.
Yeah, it was funny. In summer of 2009, I was at Camp Virginia, and I see this young kid with a North Carolina Guard patch on his sleeve. He was 19 years old, and I walked up to him. I was like, "Hey, man, you from North Carolina?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "Where you from?" He said, "Statesville." I was like, "You are not, right?" I mean, I'm in Saudi Arabia, right? He said, "Yeah, I'm from Statesville." I said, "Really?" I said, he said, "You're a chaplain." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Hey, what church do you go to?" He said, "Trinity Episcopal." And I was like, "That's the church I grew up at. My mom goes there." And I said, "My mom's name's Sarah Borders." He's like, "I know your mom," right? And so, who knew, right? You know, the Army makes things very small sometimes. So
Sure does. Now, you do know that 30th patch covers more than just North Carolina, right?
I'm sure it covers the Battle of Hastings from 1066 and the Three Musketeers. The French Foreign Legion.
No.
Right?
The French Foreign Legion, they got their awards structure from
British
us,
SAS, right?
Yeah. We did run into them a few times, but yeah. All right, Andy, back to you. Enough shenanigans with Brad. So you tell us a little bit more about your time of service. What's a fond memory that you have while you were in? What's something you look back on?
Fond memory would be. Say again.
What's something you look back on and it just makes you laugh or you reminisce about?
Well, you think about it when we deployed back in 2003 through 2004, just some of the shenanigans that happened during the Moog train up. We hit Title 10 1 October and actually didn't go over to Kuwait in preparation to go to Iraq. 29 February we made it there. Just the hardships of, it seemed like all the time we were always out in the field doing PT. You'd come in, and then you'd have like Polson, who'd be late for every drill. Not drill, I'm sorry, for every formation. Next thing you know, he's in the back of the formation digging holes. Remember the one time that we did, 200 jumping jacks?
I do remember them. That was Guilford Johnson that was leading the way on that one. Yeah.
Guilford Johnson. I know that guy.
200 jumping jacks. That sounds like a warm-up.
Oh, yeah. Sure, Marine. Yeah. Yeah,
it's just a warm up for the Marine Corps.
My favorite memory of First Sergeant Steyerwalt, we were getting ready to deploy, and we were getting a weekend pass out to Fayetteville, and First Sergeant gets up on the steps at old World War II barracks, so he's kind of about a full person. He's kind of, his feet are at our heads and hands on his hips, and he says, "Men, you got to watch out for them IUDs out there." We lost all discipline. It was just nobody could stop laughing.
I'm sure.
And he's like, "What's wrong with you, man?"
Yeah, he didn't know what he had said, did he? Yeah. And a weekend pass for you guys in Fayetteville, that's a recipe for disaster anyhow.
It was a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I can feel the 15-6 investigations coming now.
There were numerous soldiers that did not make it through the deployment to Iraq with us. They never saw Kuwait because they didn't get out of Fayetteville.
They got sent home.
They didn't get sent home. They landed in a new home called the Gray Bar Hotel.
Oh yeah, yes,
yeah,
yes.
Oh,
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they call it the nasty guard, right?
For some. Yeah. So, Andy, tell us about some of the things that you learned while you were in service and things that you'll carry with you into civilian, career and civilian work.
Well, just as a joke, for a funny story real quick, one thing that we were taught was you can never outdrink a Moldovan. And there's actually two people at Purple Heart Homes that I know that outdrank a Moldovan. That would be Tim Bates and Joel Douglas Dalton.
Oh, my God.
And
gosh.
Yeah. So, Moldova is a little bit different. For people that don't know, it's right next to Russia. It's a communist country where they vote their president in. And, I learned to have a good time and not always be serious with those two. So, they made life a lot less stressful. Some things that I've learned is there's a lot of people that don't follow through. They'll mention it, but next thing you know, it's just like empty promises. And I'm not saying that in like a negative way. It's just, I guess they get overwhelmed and they just don't finish what they say they're going to do.
So what you're saying is Bates and Dalton, that when they say they're going to outdrink a Moldovan, they are going to see it all the way through. Is that what I just heard?
That's what I just heard.
That was what I just heard.
Certainly what it sounded like.
Yes.
I'm not sure how that carries into civilian work just yet, but I'm going to ponder that a little bit.
Yeah, and luckily for us is that we've got those two contained at one organization in Purple Heart Homes now, and they're not both set loose randomly on society.
Tim is leading the charge with the most projects being completed, and has been getting some phenomenal reviews from the veterans that he has been leading their projects for, and so really, really proud of him. And
Bates just came up to me yesterday. He goes, how he talks? He goes like, "Hey, yo, man, I need some money." I was like, "What do you need money for?" He's like, I got a warfighter, a 94-year-old Korean warfighter. I need some money for him. Got stabbed in the back. Grenade blew up around him, and he's a warfighter. He's a warrior. He's a hero, and I need some money." And I was like, "Well, that's a great story. I can fundraise off of that, right?" And but he is relentless in his determination to solve the problem for the veteran. I mean, he will not stop.
Yeah, absolutely, and doing a fantastic job. All of the team really is doing a great job. We've added a lot of new team members over the last several months, and expanding the reach, and certainly expanding the impact too. And so we're really excited about that. And so, Andy, in the process, you helped establish or helped work through that initial round of nation partner training with the Moldovans. What was that like for you?
It was very unique because what happened was when we went back there, me and those two guys, we went back in 2008. When we got there at first, they had us go into the embassy, into the secret room. They said, "Hey, this isn't an exercise. What the Moldovans are going to want to do is keep saying it's an exercise. And, just keep saying that, it's just training." So at that time, what happened was the Moldovan army was under they were training for NATO. So they were like at a phase 0 where for the NATO training, they self-assessed themselves and everything like that. So, me and Joel, we were there, and Bates was there. Bates was just doing, the commo. And what's funny was when he was doing commo, he talks to him. He's like, "Hey, where's your radios?" They had one radio. You know what I mean?
It's hard to talk to people when you only got one radio. So, hey, Andy,
so his job was over.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to jump into break here in about 30 seconds. We're going to come back and continue that thought. We're going to hear more about what you did in the Army, and then transition, what that looks like for you. What's the future hold for you? And we're really glad you're here with us. And we'll hear from Devin, maybe the project of the week coming up. You're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes, and you can find out more about us at phhusa.org. See you in a few minutes.
Local and North Carolina news now.
Mike's.
We've got some hair band music for our intro.
I'm going to tell you, it is definitely making some hair stand up.
It reminds me of the 80s when I met Miss Tammy. Miss Tammy during the 80s had what we call aggressive mall hair. Where her hair, she had like
you
this.
do know that the mics are live when you're talking about Miss Tammy's hair.
That's what she was.
If she was in here, she would not be laughing, listening to you talk about her hair.
When I met her, that was like when I saw her hair, she was like a chick off of a metal video, and I was like, I must have her.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah, she wore acid wash jeans. You remember those?
I do remember acid wash.
Man.
So good you got there before Whitesnake.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, she was my Tawny Katane, man. I'm telling you, it was fantastic. Looks like we're up to 8 listeners again. We drifted up to 9, and then we went down to 7, and now we're back up to 8 again. So we've got a happy medium there.
Oh, one of them was Bates. Somebody must have heard his ears burning or whatever.
It's pretty much just the Purple Heart Home Show on Facebook. That's pretty much it. Of course, Jeanette Watkins is there. Hello, Jeanette. How are you?
I think Jeanette is always listening.
Jeanette is always listening.
Yeah.
Jeanette has provided, on a number of occasions, some fabulous guests for us as well. Remember the guy, Flying Fur Animal Rescue?
Oh, yeah.
That was
pretty
recommended
awesome.
by Jeanette. And Bobby Hanig. Remember Bobby Hanig, the senator?
Yes, Senator Bobby
That
Hanig.
was recommended by Jeanette. She sends me recommendations all the time. So thank you, Jeanette, for keeping the show lively.
Absolutely.
So, Devin, what do you got planned for the weekend?
Well, wait a minute now. Old JQ here just sent a
Johnny Quest?
Yeah, Johnny Quest just sent a message, said that Devin needs to get a high and tight hair wig.
Oh, gosh. Do they make those?
So we might be shopping for Devin for hair wigs over the weekend.
So like a Marine Corps haircut wig?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have to check that out.
We might have just invented something new.
I think I'm going to pass.
You could be a great model for it.
Hey, we got somebody from Nashville tuning in.
You know, it's probably Gibson, Quentin Gibson, listening and wanting to know why we're not playing his.
Actually, so my
music.
wife, most of the people
Looks
she
like
works
Sharon
with
Clark.
is in Nashville, and so she often has people from Nashville.
Oh, no kidding.
Listening to our show.
Could be.
We know Quentin Gibson with Darius Rucker's band is the one that made our intro music.
I'm sure every week he's tuning in to make sure that we're playing his song.
He is.
He's probably very disappointed.
I mean, the
today.
royalties are just rolling in every time we play it.
in.
Yeah.
Rolling in, gets that check for 11 cents once a year.
Yeah, they do.
Well,
that
we
per
we
listener,
pay per
right?
listener. That's right.
Yeah, pay per listener, right? 1 penny
Oh
per
my
listener,
gosh.
and we've got 11. So there you go. That's fantastic. Well, I'm heading to Boone after we get done today.
That's right.
Going to the high
One of my
country.
favorite.
And what are you going to do up
times.
there, Brad?
I'm gonna get up early in the morning, and I'm gonna ride my bike over the top of Deck Hill Road down to the Trout Lake near Julian Price Park, and go ride the gravel roads around there. It's gonna be awesome. Then I'm gonna ride back over Deck Hill Road and have a cup of coffee with my wife when she gets up.
You mentioned Trout Lake, but you did not mention a pole.
Now I won't be doing any. I don't know if I'm gonna do any fishing. My fishing rod is kind of out of commission right now. I've got to do some work on it, but I've got our place up in Boone's got a river right beside it, so all I got to do is walk out in the side yard, go fishing. So it's not bad.
That's not bad.
It's
at
not
all.
bad. It's
Wow.
not bad. Yeah, you could do a lot worse. But that's where, hopefully Tammy and I'll retire up there someday.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Someday.
Someday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're ever going to retire, Brad.
You don't think so?
No. I think you'll be 94 trying to help veterans.
Come here, you
He'll be
whippersnapper.
94 doing something.
Oh yeah, that's true. Still riding his bike.
Hope I make it to 94.
If he's still talking about Miss Tammy's hair, then he'll be he'll need to be riding that
57.
bike.
Yeah, or alone.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing she's not listening today.
Be a part of the conversation.
All right, so we've got coming up next Devil Dog Devin and Project of the Week,
That's right.
and then we're going to
I called an audible, by the way.
talk about some more transition with Sapala.
What is the project of the week? You got a good one?
Can't talk about it yet.
Yeah, if
Can't
I'm
give
going
it
to
away.
spoil it, the Facebook listeners, all 8 of them, have to hold on.
right.
The problem is that there are so many projects to choose
It's
from.
hard to choose from.
It's really a hard job, hard position to be in.
I had a phone call with a Vietnam veteran that after he got out of the Marine Corps as a helicopter pilot in Vietnam in 1966, he went to work for Air America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, as a CIA contractor, flying helicopters into Laos and Cambodia. Altoid?
Altoid?
Are there crayons in there?
Not today. Sorry to disappoint.
I'm going to tell you what. Where did I show the video the other day? I showed it to the military makeover people.
Did you
While
really?
I was in Fort Lauderdale, we were talking about social media videos, and so I pulled up the crayon therapy video and crayon addiction video for
I really got to do some more of those.
Yeah, they loved it.
All right,
They
15
absolutely loved
seconds.
it.
It's Mayor Woody Washam inviting you to join me this morning at 11 for About Town. We'll be discussing lake and boat safety on beautiful Lake Norman. About Town, this morning at 11 o'clock on WSIC.
You are listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes, and you've got myself, John Gallina, Brad Borders, and Devin Alexander here in studio, and then we've got retired First Sergeant Andy Sapala. I got to tell you, Andy, that just rolls right off the tongue. Retired First Sergeant, and I'm actually pretty doggone jealous. If I'd have stayed in another 10 years, I could have been there with you. But really proud of you and. For seeing it all the way through and really seeing it through well beyond 28 years, correct?
Wow.
Is that right?
Yes, 28 years. I think you probably would have made Sergeant Major or something like that.
Yeah, I doubt
I was
that.
a big mess up.
I doubt that.
He'd be telling people to stay off his grass.
Oh, God.
Put on that PT belt.
Yeah, that's right.
Chasing people riding their bicycle down Ardennes Boulevard. Saying,
Telling people to shine their desert boots.
Yeah, that's right. I always enjoyed shining my boots. I still shine my shoes.
Do as well. I do as well, yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed you shine your shoes.
I love shining boots. It was great.
Yeah, it's good. It's good therapy.
It is. It's very cathartic.
It's sort of like making your bed. Maybe we should make a video about shining your shoes,
Shining boots and
like the
making
Admiral
beds.
made his bed.
Make your bed, shine your boots.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's time for our project of the week. We got Devil Dog Devin here with us, and he's going to share with us about the great work that the project management team at Purple Heart Homes is doing.
Well, hello, everyone.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. I can't say good morning anymore.
No, you can't. Well, you could.
I
It's
could.
morning somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Just like it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Hey, our Alaska listeners, it might actually be a better time to listen for.
It is.
Yeah, how about that? So we did all this for you, Alaska.
All right.
So today's project of the week is actually an old project, and I'm bringing up a project from like 2 years ago. It's this veteran, U.S. Army / National Guard. Yeah, I'm doing that for you, Sapala. Yeah, you know. His house was just a complete mess, just like always, when we have a veteran who has substantial needs, we reach out to our other funding partners and we come at the project together so we can share the burden of the load. And Habitat Humanity come out there with us, and they helped with the HVAC system because his furnace was just dead. He needed new windows. It's an older home. You know, those things are not energy efficient. Some of them are broken. And we put those in with donated windows and volunteer labor. And we put in a brand new ADA bathroom. We just did all kinds of stuff for this veteran who greatly needed it. 74 years old, Vietnam vet. And the reason that I'm bringing this story up from 2 years ago is I randomly answered the phone at PHH the other day, and what is going on there?
Don't you worry about it. Joe's just under the desk. Don't worry about it.
And so I answer the phone, and it's Wilford's wife, and she just says, "Hey, I didn't want y'all to think that I forgot about what Purple Heart Homes did for us. I was hoping that you could send us one of those envelopes in the mail." I said, "One of those envelopes, ma'am?" Yeah, one of those donation envelopes.
Oh.
We really appreciate everything you did.
Isn't that nice?
And we just want to pay it forward.
That is cool.
And so I wanted to mention that here today, that these veterans that we do these projects for, it's not just a one-day thing. It's not just hey, we made an impact in their life today. We made an impact in their life from here on. They will always remember that the community cared enough about them to go out there and help them. And we really appreciate each and every one of the veterans, and we know that they appreciate all of our community coming together and and helping us to help them.
That's cool, dude.
You know, one of the things I can't help but think about, you know, when I hear about projects that we're doing with putting in new windows, new heating and air systems, insulation and things of that nature, is it's not just improving the quality of the life that's living in the home, right? It's not just improving the veterans' comfort and their ease of living in their home, but it's also saving them money. It saves them money in their monthly budget, and that's got a huge impact across the board for all the veterans that we serve. And so that's great news to hear that. And certainly, we have so many that just show their gratitude in various ways. We've had a number of veterans that have had sent artwork where they've made some type of, you know, little mementos of Purple Heart Homes being in their project, and they've mailed that to us. And
we get a lot of thank you notes too.
A lot of thank you notes.
I've got thank you notes up
Absolutely.
on the wall of my office, and yeah, it just means a lot.
Yeah.
So, thanks, Devin.
absolutely.
Andy, next question for you. Do you have any embarrassing stories about John Gallina? And I'd be pleased to hear any of those at this time.
So maybe not embarrassing story, but I remember like it was so when we first got there, Charlie Battery was out of Lincoln and Statesville was our detachment. So we were both Charlie Battery. And, you know, there was just this little, this uncomfortable, you know, like getting along. Well, he'll remember it. So I was first platoon, he was second platoon. And next thing you know, it was like raining and we couldn't do anything. And all of a sudden, like first platoon starts calling out second platoon. And then all of a sudden we like all start running at each other. You know what I mean? And then it's like a big dog pile.
Looked like a Civil War battle.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever met Church, but Church like clothesline me and I like
we call him Big Country.
Yeah.
And then, it all gets settled, and then all of a sudden we got one of the guys in my gun, Cole, and he's calling out Gallina, like, come on, Gallina, and he's just going to like wallop the floor with him, all that stuff. It all got said and done. Gallina won. And then after that, there was a lot more cohesion then.
Yeah, Campos and all the guys, we became really close friends, and that was the great thing about it. At the end of the day, you're all wearing green, you're all focused on the same mission, and you're in it together. And in so many ways, that's the way it is when you get out too, right? You're all in that same boat together. You're all trying to survive, take care of your families, build a life, and find that peace in life. And so, there's some great friendships and camaraderie there. And I'm constantly encouraging folks that have never been in the military, ask some of these questions about these funny stories, right? And it helps you gain some insight and some understanding and be able to relate to the veterans that are important to you in your life.
It's like that scene from Stripes where Bill Murray, they're having barracks talk, and he goes, oh, I always knew why I wanted to be like you guys. It's the stories. It's the stories. And it is the stories. I mean, it's the stories that people tell and things that you never forget. And at the time, it was terrible sometimes. Sometimes it was just awful. And then later on, you laugh about it, and you were really glad you went through it, And the crappier it was, the better.
Yeah, and Andy, I'll pay you a little bit later. I knew Brad was going to ask that, so we'll even up
Andy,
on the arrangement.
Next
a little
time
later.
you're up here, tell me the good ones offline. So
yeah,
I just love how he made John the hero of the story. I'm sorry, Andy.
Yeah, hey, we got 30 seconds to break, Andy.
There's probably a
let's go to
okay.
we'll go to break.
The funnier story. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll go to break, and we'll come back, and I want to hear the funniest story, and then we'll talk about transition, what that looks like for you, and maybe some words of advice for others who are transitioning out. So you're listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together with retired First Sergeant Andy Sapala. We're presented by Purple Heart Homes. You can find out more about us at phhusa.org. Thanks for listening.
So place your bet, you're going under.
I don't even know what to think about that music. I don't even know who picked that music. I love Justin. I love Joe. But whichever one of them picked it has got a great sense of humor because they have made Brad laugh.
I think I can pull it up real quick. Give me
Play
just
it
a
again.
second.
Let's play it on the Facebook feed.
Yeah, let's not do that right now, Joe. Please don't waste your time. We only got a minute and a half.
I mean,
in
it's
our
right
break.
here.
Yeah, don't worry, it's all right.
It's right here.
Andy, let's come back to you for a minute here while we're in break.
Yeah.
you can tell this funnier story and share with Chap and Devil Dog here what's on your mind.
Well, actually, it's actually about Dale Beatty. He went to basic training with Campos.
That's right. They went out to Fort Steele together.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I think it was Campos and Coleman, and what ended up happening was Dale accused some guy of stealing his shoes.
I remember.
So they're checking all the wall lockers, blah blah blah. And the last place they looked was Dale's bag, and guess what's in this bag?
His shoes.
Them shoes.
Oh my God!
Barely just misplaced them.
I got a funny story about Dale's duffel bag too. When we were deploying to Iraq, so a bunch of us had went out, on that weekend pass that I was telling about the first sergeant earlier, and one of the guys had a few too many drinks, and we get back and we're in a World War II barrack style, where it's just open bay, living, and so. Dale's on the top bunk. His lower bunkmate is our good friend Pennington, and Pennington gets up to go to the bathroom, or Dale gets up to go to the bathroom, kind of wakes Pennington up, goes over to the wall locker, opens the wall locker, and proceeds to relieve himself in the wall locker
That's
in
awesome.
Pennington's duffel bag.
That's Dale did that.
And later,
Was he sleepwalking?
He was fully awake, and nearly 13 months later,
Was he disoriented?
he was probably still a little drunk.
Yeah. Law have
And
mercy.
so, about 13 months later, Pennington is the combat lifesaver. That's right. That saved Dale's life.
I hope he wasn't still using that bag.
He was not.
Oh, good Lord.
And so it was quite funny.
Pennington, why does your bag smell so bad?
It's like 3:30 in the morning, and Ryan is yelling so loud that he wakes up everybody in the squad bay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I can hear it right now.
It was hilarious. Yeah.
Baby!
So we've laughed about that for years.
Yeah.
And Andy, I think you were upstairs or you were in the other barracks.
10 seconds.
Is that right?
10 seconds.
No, I was in the same barracks as you, across from you.
All right.
Okay.
5 seconds.
All right, here we go.
Weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. on WSIC.
I mean, Brad thinks this bumper music is so good we don't even need to talk to do the intro.
I feel like I'm in an '80s movie, and it's a training
jamming.
montage video. Looks like Rocky, lifting chains and running through the snow.
We'll just we'll make a video with you on your bike,
Yeah,
and
you gotta have
going uphill with the rain in your face.
Yes, yes.
All right, so you were listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes, and we have in studio with us. Well, not actually. He's online. He's online
in studio.
With us here, retired First Sergeant Andy Sapala.
On and in.
On and in. I would tell you this bumper music has me all sorts of tore up. I don't even know what to think.
Yeah,
and Andy's telling stories about me, and it's
fantastic.
It's crazy.
Well, let's bridge back into Andy. Andy, glad to have you back on the show again, and tell us a little bit about what transition's looking like for you, and after doing 29 years, and all you know is being an AGR dude, a National Guard guy, deploying. Doing all that stuff, leading soldiers, making people better, improving their lives, and what in the world? What's next, man?
What ended up happening is at the tail end of the career, they allow you to do this program at CSP, Career Skills Program. It's an internship, and I was doing an internship, and one of the hardest things during the transition was when you go from being an E8 and you are pretty much like a human resources manager to an extent, going to this internship, and next thing you know, like just doing minuscule work, they had me do dispositions. So disposition was, like filing paperwork just to get rid of it and damage, to be destroyed. And then, filing, rewriting SOP, standard operating procedures. It's just reformatting. So, like for me, they would give me a tasking, and you just focused on it. And next thing you know, something that someone didn't do for a year, you got done in 3 days. And so like for me, a lot of my frustration was just like, hey, I'm a lot more competent about it, and like even, speaking with the people that I was working for with the internship, I just kept reminding them, I'm like, hey, I'm a lot more competent than this. They had me filing something. They were giving me a piece of paper saying, hey, people that don't work here anymore, pull them out. So the piece of paper they gave me was like a year old. And it's like, do you guys not have an org chart, an organizational chart? That way, who works there and everything else like that. Well, I finally got one a little bit more accurate, and Gallina can tell you I was a pretty good E4 when it came down to being able to sham a little bit. So and then became an E8 later. So I'm filing and I'm pulling all this stuff out, and this is after being there for 60 days. And I get all the stuff, I put it, and I get done. And the lady that I was working for, I knew she was lazy. So I go over there, it's like, I'm done. She looks at me, she gives me this crazy eye, and she's like, you're done already?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, let me tell you, this is like the 4th, 5th time that I told you I was an E8. I focused on and all this other stuff, got done in like 4 hours. Well, what I did fail to tell her was like, hey, I only did the first two drawers of the 5 drawer file cabinet, because the way I see it was like, hey, you know what? You ain't focused on doing this within the last 18 months. Why am I going to give as much effort as what you are? And, she starts like looking at it, and she only looks at the top 2 because, she was an elderly lady. And then she looks at, like a couple on the other 5 that I was like, hey, I put those here, within the first week, did this and this. All of a sudden she just rolls her eyes at me, locks it up and just like walks away. So, shortly after that, it was like, hey, I'll just sat there and not did much. So, like one of my hardest things about, the transitioning is the whole fact of, sometimes people don't want to listen to what you have to say or even find out about your experiences.
It sounded like a George Costanza story from Seinfeld. I just sat there and did nothing. Yeah. I got it all done in like 4 hours, and I was done for the rest of the week.
I've heard that story 3 times, and I laugh every time.
It's awesome. It's awesome. That's fantastic. So, Andy,
wait a minute. So the moral of this story, Andy, for our listeners, the moral of the story is, if you want the veteran to do something and to do it all the way through, what does the employer need to do?
I mean, for me, have a plan. Here it is.
Right, have a plan.
Start with the bottom drawer.
Don't act like I'm stupid.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, here it is. When they gave me something minuscule and it didn't look like they would ever give me any more responsibility, after that, it's like, hey, why am I really here?
Yeah.
Yeah. What difference am I making when you haven't done it in 18 months? You're going to give it to me, and I know you really ain't going to check it anyhow. Right. And during the internship, I was getting paid by the military, so I was getting paid, but I wasn't getting paid from that organization. And it's like, hey, you know what? All these other people, this lady's just here, talking about getting her nails done and all that stuff. And I was like, you know what? It ain't worth it.
So what's happening now with you? You're out of the internship, I guess, right?
He's out of the internship.
So what's
happening? He's got really big plans.
What are the big plans?
He's been recruited.
Oh, I heard he's been recruited. Is that by a fine organization?
A very fine organization with a great plan and knows how to keep sham shield people in line.
Let me. There has to be like some kind of disclaimer here, because I'm imagining the team from Moldova together in one organization, which could be horrifying.
Well, technically, the Moldovans are still in Moldova.
Yeah, but
the team that trained the Moldovans,
yes, is
now in one organization.
So, are we making an announcement here?
Well, Andy, what are your plans?
I got to talk to somebody on Friday. If I'm not Friday, it's I can't remember what day. So there's been discussion about me coming to Purple Heart Homes and assisting and being, John's personal assistant, and so you'd still have some kind of separation. What's that?
I'm just laughing really loud. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, So there would still be a separation, because if you look, Tim Bates is all the way in the warehouse.
Yes.
Then you got Joel Douglas Dalton. He's like up there in like the front part of the warehouse. And then you'll have me at the head shed,
That's right.
working straight across from Gallina.
Yeah.
John.
You'll be lording power
making
over
coffee.
them. Yeah.
That's a lot better than filing. That's an E8 job. An E8's job is making coffee,
hear it
right?
Right now, I can hear it right. This conversation going. Sapala, I can hear it right now coming out of your office. Sapala, give me some coffee. Don't put in.
Well, I mean,
put
you won't
creamer
hear
in
that
my
because I'll
coffee.
be in the same office as him.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That is amazing.
I mean, my biggest plan right now, Brad, is like the first day that I get there, I'm taking that little mini refrigerator out and I'm thawing that thing out, because you can't even open up the freezer.
You mean so? Yeah, he's been in there doing a first sergeant inspection.
Yeah,
he knows everything
gosh.
that's going on.
Glove
The
test.
interesting thing is that we've got Mangum there. We've not talked about Mangum, right?
Well, we could.
Oh, we definitely can.
Yes.
And I know he's listening right now because he's texting me about Sapala and how worried he is. And so, we spent the most time, Sapala and I spent the most time with then Captain Mangum, because he was trying to straighten us out.
Oh gosh.
And look how well we turned out, right, Andy?
Right.
I mean,
Oh yeah, the time that I was going to do Mutiny from Mangum, you'll hear Mangum's story.
Sapala goes into the commander's office and says, "If you don't give me what I want, I'm going to quit, and I'm going to take the whole battery with me."
Oh my God.
This is like Mangum's first week on the job as the commander, and E4 is telling him he's going to take the entire unit with him.
Oh, E4 Mafia.
Yeah. I stand at attention when you tell me you're
So
taking
go
on
ahead and check
soldiers.
your phone. You'll be. That's not exactly what I said, but because of FCC constraints, I can't say exactly what he said. But there's some choice words.
Oh my gosh.
This is all new news to me. I did not know. This is a sewn done deal. It's happening.
We got to finalize a few things. We got to dot the i's and cross the t's. But
What's the start date? Do we know the start date?
we have a projected start date of the 21st of August.
Okay. That's outstanding. Well, good. I'll make sure I'm on vacation that week. That's fantastic. So that the transition, so I don't have to hear the fireworks.
Well, the first thing he's going to do is he's going to come in and handle the filing that needs to happen in your office.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Don't do that. I haven't looked at it in 18 months.
Well, the only thing that you'll need to look at is the top two drawers.
That's true. I don't do much filing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, that is really good news, man.
I mean, all I need is a place to put some of my stuff at. So, just a little table, maybe a bucket,
Bucket. I just need a bucket. What do you put in the bucket?
FCC.
I mean, I'll sit on the bucket.
I'll sit on the bucket. We give me one of them little dove hunting chairs. So
it's sort of like when we were.
Down. I mean, I see all those LSU buckets that ain't being used.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, let's say we got less than a minute before we end the show. It has been one of the most interesting shows that we've ever had, and I think the whole
everything you were worried about didn't happen.
The key to the show has been the music.
Oh yeah,
and
the music
and
has definitely had an impact.
Yeah, and we should end with that music just to take everybody into their Thursday evening, and so.
So you have been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together, presented by Purple Heart Homes. We are thankful for all our listeners' support and thankful for all you do in your community to support your veterans. And we look forward to being back with you again next week, where, again, we will have a special guest. We've got Rick Goforth from the Combat Veteran Motorcycle Association going to be joining us, Air Force pilot, and we're excited to have him on the show.
The new.
Oh gosh. Hey Sapala, thank you for making us laugh.
Great.
Andy, that was fantastic.
That was great.
Laughter makes the show.
Well, and the thing was it was less a radio show and more like what we do on Thursday afternoons when he comes by.
Yeah, it
that
pretty
was what
much
it was.
You know,
it wasn't a radio show. It was just a conversation with us. which is funny.
That's pretty entertaining. Yeah, I think
super
so.
entertaining for us.
And
I'm sure our listeners were going like,
What in the hell have they been
what
doing
did I
today?
just tune into?
They thought I
What
did
is
get that bottle of bourbon.
Yeah, what did I just? I am so out of context here. What is going on?
Oh my
All
God.
right, Andy, thank you, brother. Really appreciate you jumping into
Hey,
last
not a
minute
problem.
for
You
us.
guys have a good day.
All right, we'll see
Thanks,
you soon.
Andy.
Be safe. Bye.
Yes, sir. Bye.